So we've talked now frameworks, and we've talked about the meta model. Let's talk a little bit about modeling. Again, we as architects tend to get very focused on building the models. Early on I said, that EA in itself does nothing. Well, we can't focus, we can't treat the models like they are the end state. The models are meaningful and interesting to us, the architects, but when we're trying to show value to the end user or to the information consumer or to the stakeholders, showing a model is probably not the right way to go. So this is not smart. So what is smart? Again, it's not about the model. It's about the information and the analysis that can be derived from the models. Modeling is for us, the architects. Information consumers and stakeholders want information and analysis. And what kind of analysis? Impact analysis, gap analysis, maybe simulation, again, maybe alternatives or analysis of alternatives. And this is a very key point. We need to make sure that we understand what our stakeholders' needs and expectations are and what type of analysis they use, because that will drive the types of models that we build. And we need to make sure that we're building fit-for-purpose models. So let's take a look at what this means from a case-wise perspective. As we've discussed already, case-wise Corporate Modeler provides a full suite of modeling capabilities and tools for the architects. So we can build our process models, our swim lane models, hierarchy models, geographical models, IT models, etc. This is where we capture and integrate all these pieces of information. Likewise, as you see on the right-hand side of the screen, we have matrices that allow us to capture some of the the very raw statistical type of information about either our processes or our systems or what have you. But when we're dealing with the end user, maybe we show them kind of a map, kind of an impact analysis map that shows the interdependencies across these views, and then the impact of change to one of those nodes or one of those components. Or maybe instead of a matrix, we show a graph that kind of rolls this information up into a very digestible, bar chart or pie chart or something of that nature. Likewise, if we're building models for simulation, again, the modeling and the simulation is primarily for us, the architects, and of course you might have some information consumers interested in kind of the flow and the simulation. But more than likely, they're going to want this rolled up into a view that gives them a clear picture into the pros and cons of various scenarios. And of course, this is what we consider case-wise smart. The final conversation is tools. So what is smart with tools? Well, when we stop and think about it for a moment, what do we tend to shop for? How do we tend to buy? Well, we tend to either buy based on price, so cheapest price, or we just want the most functions and features. We want the most bells and whistles. Or sometimes we buy based on how we're influenced, what our friends have, maybe what we hear about in the market, what have you. This is not necessarily smart. So what is smart with tools? Well, first and foremost, it's important to understand that you're not just buying a tool. You're buying a business relationship. You're buying thought leadership, you're buying a partnership, you're buying into stability, you're buying an approach, and in this case an approach to enterprise architecture. And of course this is what we believe we here at CaseWise have to offer you. When you are ready to buy a tool, you want to buy a tool that first and foremost you can be immediately productive with. So you want a tool that's intuitive, it's easy to use, and can quickly be stood up and get you out of the gate and running. However, it also needs to be robust and complex enough to grow with you as your implementation and an initiative grows. You also want to buy a tool from a company that offers you an implementation and sustainment plan. Expect to be treated like a partner and buy a tool from people you trust. One of my favorite concepts or little quotes with regards to kind of tools is this. He who buys a shovel doesn't want a shovel. He wants a hole. Now, we could actually take this thought further. He actually doesn't want a hole. He wants a tree. We could take it a step doesn't actually want a tree, he wants shade, or he wants fruit, or something of that nature. What's the point? The point here is that when you're ready to buy a tool, and to find the right tool, you need to consider your business drivers. What are the business drivers for your enterprise architecture initiative? What are your objectives? What's most important to you and your project with regards to the tool capabilities? To kind of close out the cute little thought there, are you planting trees or are you shoveling snow? So to close out, what is Case-Wise Smart with regards to tools? Well, we have tools and the suite of capabilities to provide you the ability to jumpstart your efforts. These tools are Corporate Modeler, which is the core architecture modeling product, Auto Modeler, which allows you to import data rapidly, export data, and vModeler actually integrates with Visio. So if you have folks, and many organizations have a lot of folks, particularly business analysts, that work with and like to use Visio but want to get it, actively engaged in the enterprise architecture, this provides an automated solution for that. As your initiative grows and you want to expand on your jumpstart, if you will, then we also have capabilities to support that. Corporate Publisher allows you to publish the information to a web environment, and the Web Modeler and Portal allow your extended team to actively interface and engage with the architecture to a real-time web environment. And finally, when you're ready to actually start implementing change or making some of those decisions that make significant difference in the organization, we have CMI Intelligence, which is a business intelligence environment for your enterprise architecture, and Corporate Synergy is a full lifecycle business process management, business process automation capability that allows us to pull business process models out of the architecture that can then be automated through web services or other automation. And of course, we provide consulting across the span of products and the phases of your enterprise architecture initiative as it matures from an early stage through expansion to optimization. And of course, this is what we think is Case-Wise Smart. So to close, again, we're at a crossroads, we being the enterprise architecture community at large. We believe that enterprise architecture will help, but not just EA, Smart EA, Case-Wise Smart. So with that, I thank you all for your time, and I guess, Matt, I'll turn it over to you to open up for any questions.